Hey everyone, today I wanted to speak to you about joy, which is one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And we find this in Galatians 5:22 to 23, where the Apostle Paul is writing to the church in Galatia. And he says, the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And in this day and age, it's so easy to get caught up in the materialist mindset. I need this pair of trainers, I need this big house, I need this car, I need this new phone, the new iPhone with 5 cameras. But the Bible speaks of something that is very different. The Bible speaks of something that transcends circumstances, something that is not the same as happiness, but is similar in some ways, but is not identical. It's this concept of joy. And it's really poignant throughout the Bible, going back to even the beginning and coming all the way to Jesus' ministry, where he talks about joy a lot, actually. And he talks about the concept of the Holy Spirit producing joy in us. And this is echoed throughout the New Testament, especially in Paul's writings, in Paul's letters to various churches around the globe at that time. And the key point that he's trying to make is that no matter what is going on, you should have joy, not based on your outer circumstances, not based on anything that's going on, but based on your relationship with God. And I think someone that highlights this really well is Pastor Rick Warren. Rick Warren says, Christian joy is a good feeling in the soul that is produced by the Holy Spirit as he causes us to see the beauty of Christ in the Word and also in the world. And that really strikes me, especially when Rick Warren's talking about joy is produced by the Holy Spirit. It's not something that we have to do in of ourselves. It's not something that we have to try and earn. It's something that comes from an intimate relationship with our loving Father. And that is so important during these times. Having someone you can turn to, having that positivity, that joy. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I know that I definitely struggle with having joy. And the key to joy, as Paul writes, is pressing into God more. The more we press into God, the more joyful we become. And he went even to the extent of saying in his letters whilst he was in prison, always be joyful, always rejoice, continue rejoicing. And I think that is amazing, coming from someone who is in chains, in a horrible prison cell. He can still be joyful. And that brings me on to what I wanted to say about what C.S. Lewis says. C.S. Lewis, I'm sure you know, he's a very famous author, or he was a very famous author, and he was also a influential Christian theologian, and probably the most reluctant Christian ever, according to himself. And he said in his book, Surprised by Joy, joy is the serious business of heaven. And I think what he was getting at is joy is something that we can experience, but we were created in the image of God. Therefore, God is the most joyous being in the universe. And I think it's so easy to think of God as someone far away, up in the clouds. But God became human in the person of Jesus because of his great love for us. And he wants us to have a relationship with him. He wants us to see that we have a hole in our heart, a yearning desire for him. And he can fill that hole, only he can give us that joy. And I think the actor Jim Carrey really hits the nail on the head with this quote. Jim Carrey said, "I wish everyone could be rich and famous so they could see that it's not worth it. There's nothing there." And this is a man who worked his way up to the top in Hollywood, had millions, and yet he wasn't happy. It didn't bring him happiness or joy. And I think the most poignant, the most vital thing you can take away from this is this world doesn't satisfy. There is something greater that we all long for. And you can deny that or you can accept it. But if you deny it, you're only lying to yourself. Joy is something we can all experience. But the only place we're going to get joy is from a relationship with Jesus Christ. Amen.